Check. Welcome, friends.
Ooh.
I want to make sure that's not too loud for you guys.
There's echo.
Dr. Stone, you want to give me a little bit
Check. There's an echo, though.
Yeah, I can hear it. That's just from my monitor.
Okay.
All right, welcome. Happy Sunday.
Happy Sunday.
So we're back. Glad to be back.
Yes. Hope everybody had a great Halloween, Samhain, Day of the Dead.
All right. Yeah, so we took a little bit of a break for about a week and a half from the podcast. We didn't do our Sunday service. We just wanted to spend a little time with focusing on our family.
Yeah.
We're rejuvenated, relaxed. It was crazy, though. I think the last live stream we were talking about what we were planning on dealing with. It was a lot of wrath and anger, and
yeah, we ended up experiencing that as well, so, I always think it doesn't apply to me.
Yeah, exactly.
Somehow,
Me too.
And then it turns out that it does. So fun times. No, but it was.
Hi, Eric.
Yeah, hi. We had to take a little break, but we had a great Halloween.
Yeah, awesome Halloween, and then you were doing ancestor work that was specifically dealing with the wrath and anger.
Yes, that got put upon me.
Some angry ancestors, which was pretty crazy.
Yeah, a whole bunch of stuff got revealed that I was not expecting at all. But apparently you knew about it. So, so fun times, still dealing with that. But apparently this week might be different.
Yes,
perhaps?
This week we've got a great week in store for us. The stars are very cleansing. I don't know how your guys' weeks went with the last prediction, but I think the week of Halloween was pretty on point for us personally. We were dealing with some spiritual forces. It wasn't the willing engagement we had hoped it was going to be.
No.
It was kind of like forced on us.
Yeah, not at all. Fun, and it's always like that. It's like we don't get to choose, unfortunately, right?
Yeah, how this stuff manifests.
How it happens, and you've got to either recognize it and take advantage of it, right? I think I literally said that last week too, or that week. I said you got to make sure you recognize it.
Yeah, exactly.
And well, luckily we did, but it's it's always a surprise, even when it's forecasted.
Yes, exactly. I did the forecast, and then I'm sitting there, and I'm like, well, this is what I get for speaking it into existence. I shouldn't, And so I think
feel like that all the time.
We've been dealing with, since we started this Sunday service live stream, we've been dealing with a lot of dark themes, and I just hope you guys understand, this I'm not trying to only talk about dark and heavy themes. That's just the season that we're in right now.
Yeah.
Scorpio season is the initiatory season. So in the ancient world, all the mystery initiations that dealt with death and rebirth, they happen during this time of year. And then the stars astrologically just happen to be coinciding with this special time of year. So we're trudging on. There's a little more darkness, but there is always light at the end of the tunnel. There is always a way.
If you choose to see it.
If you choose to see it. Unfortunately, these past few weeks, we've been dealing with some heavier themes. So I think we're going to get started here. I'm glad you guys are here. We're going to start with our solar invocation to guide the service. I'm glad to see Eric, Melissa. It's great that you guys are here.
Yes.
I love seeing you guys every week. So,
okay.
I'm going to start. And for those of you that are just joining us, we do a solar invocation on this beautiful Sunday. The reason we do Sunday services is the beginning of our week, and the sun is an energy that has to do with purification. It has to do with combustion. It is an aggressive fire, but it is a cleansing fire. It is the fire of the self. And so Sundays are a great way to set up our week for the magic we shall be enduring as we probe the darkness. It's just kind of a reset, right?
Yeah.
And as we go through our week and we're dealing with magic, maybe we're dealing with spirits, maybe we're dealing with shadow aspects of ourselves, and maybe we're just doing practical magic. We're trying to, cash some checks. We accumulate a little bit of attachments, and so every Sunday we just kind of reset, all right, now I'm ready to move forward, clear off all the stuff from earlier in the week. Let me get the water.
So more stuff can just pile on.
Yes.
During the rest of the week. Yeah. No, yeah, but can you imagine if you didn't clear it every week?
This is why I like Sundays. So Sundays, my favorite spiritual Sunday is doing purification with soul and then opening all the windows and cleaning the house.
Right. That's good.
Just
yeah, you got to
reorganizing.
get the stale energy out.
All right.
Yes.
So we wash with fire. Burn with water. Make sure you're hitting all your energy centers with your water. We'll be using myrrh for our purifying incense. You can use any purifying incense that you have an affinity for. And with your left hand or undominant hand, I purify, I cleanse, and I sublimate my mind, my body, my soul under the authority of the cosmos, the most on high, the authority of the personal name, El Eshel El. All right, Dr. Stone, you want to wash with fire? Yes. I hereby cleanse and purify your mind, your body, your soul. I cast out all darkness, all influence under the authority of the cosmos, the all-being, the source of all, and the personal name, El Eshel El.
Great.
Upon cleansing yourself, we'll now light the solar incense. We like to use sandalwood. It is classically associated with the sun, but you may use any incense you see fit. This will attract the illuminating spirits of the sphere. I consecrate this to you, O soul, you and your sphere, you and your spirits, under the authority of Source, under the authority of the cosmos, under the authority of the personal name. El Eshel El. All right. And for those in the service, if you want to sit, you want to relax, breathe in through your nose. And we're going to start getting into a progressive relaxation as we invoke the sun and his energies to help guide us in our service today, guide us in our week. One of the things you can do, you can visualize the sun coming into you, a liquid gold coming in through the top of your head, coursing through your body, and removing, I like to call it the dross, which is a black kind of sludge. You're going to, this hot liquid molten gold going and pushing this dross out of your body. O sun, you who are the source of riches, the increase of strength, the honor of life, the source of splendor, and the beginning of all goodness, I entrust my entire will upon you, and with it place myself wholly in your hands. I entreat you, on account of my depression, loss, the lessening of my power, and because others gloat over me and do not respect me according to my status, I conjure you by the creator of the cosmos, by the all-being, by source, who is the mover of your motions and the giver of your power, through whom you accomplish your actions, by the obedience you have to the cosmos, by which you obey the cosmos, by the reason you have for helping and saving those who throw themselves at you in your will, that is, those who pray to you and supplicate you with a clear and pure intent, and by the dominion and capability that source cosmos granted you over the planets, turn yourself unto me and liberate my will. Carry it away from worried and sad contemplations. Lead me back into my power, my station, and my fortifications. Grant that that particular individual of the world comes to my obedience and dominion. May you deign to grant me the power and strength of your splendor and excellence, by which I may have fortune and influence in working upon everyone such that they follow thee. I conjure you by your hidden and concealed noble qualities, by the influence you have in the order of motion, by the influence, power, strength in the works you govern upon the generation of things in this world, by your piety, which reaches the meek, by your fortune, which reaches the great, by your fidelity and legality, which you have towards the cosmos, all-being source, who granted competence to you by the debt of assistance that you have for those fleeing to you and beseeching you by the ways and paths of the heavens, which have no parallel upon the earth, so that you may heed my prayer, understand my request, pay attention to my words, and complete this petition with effect. All those with a pure and untarnished will toward you should have complete salvation. You who are the root of heaven and are above all the stars and planets, holy and honored, I ask that you heed this request. I conjure you, the light of the world. I invoke you by all your names in Arabic, Yazemis, in Latin, Sol, in Phoenician, Maher, in Roman, Leus, in Indian, Aras. Answer me. O soul, you, the great combustor, the great illuminator, the great golden rays, you who are the light of the world, the light of conscious awareness, we conjure you, we ask that you guide us throughout the rest of your week, that you combust all darkness and shadow that comes our way, that you help purify us, that you turn our bodies into gold, you turn our spirits into gold, so that we may be more like you, an example of your powers here in the material realm. O great Sun, O great soul, thank you for your guidance. Thank you for your wisdom, and please continue to guide us through this service and the rest of the week. Thank you, soul.
So it is.
Motor B.
So it is. Wow.
Hello, Heather.
Hi, Heather.
Welcome. Okay, so let's get on to the astrological forecast. All right. So there's a lot of cool stuff that is happening. It's not as intense as it was the last live stream. We still have this Mercury and Mars conjunction, but this is happening in Sagittarius right now. It's not happening in Scorpio. So this is kind of a calming down of the energy. However, Mercury has hit retrograde, and we're going to see there's a lot of planets in retrograde this week. Jupiter is going to enter retrograde, I think, on Tuesday or between Tuesday and Wednesday. Saturn has been in retrograde for probably a month, 2 months, and Mercury just entered retrograde. Now, it's important to understand that retrograde, in modern pop astrology, it's like a big deal. People are like, oh, like watch out for retrograde, watch out for retrograde. But really what you want to understand about retrograde, at least from a classical or ancient sense, it doesn't really have as much of an effect on you as you think it does. If you can think of these energies, these planets as your kind of friends, then when they're in retrograde, that just, if he's overloaded with work and a little stressed out, you might not ask him for too many favors during that time that he's working on a big case, right? Because he might not be able to help you out as effectively. And this is how we can kind of treat these retrogrades. So even though Jupiter, Mercury, and Saturn will be in retrograde by the end of the week, probably midweek, let's try not to worry about it, and let's just be kind of a little more sensitive to those energies in our lives, so that way we're not stressing those energies out, piling too much work onto them, right? So I think the biggest thing that's happening this week, and it's happening all week, is we see a beautiful trine that's happening here with the sun midway through Scorpio, Jupiter, and Saturn. And these are some pretty powerful masculine energies, right? So the sun is the greatest benefic, right? It is so great that we don't even consider it a benefic, right? But this is an identification with the self, with the ego, with conscious awareness. Jupiter up here is part of this trine, and that is the great benefic. And you could think of him like a patriarch. He's like a jolly priest, like a good priest, or a good holy pious king, or something like that. He's a really, really good energy, and these are hitting a trine in a proper aspect with Saturn, and Saturn is an old wise man, Father Time. He's also known as the Great Terrifier and the Greater Malefic, and that is because of what he has dominion over. It's often something that we don't want to concern ourselves with, which is decay, death, winter, that kind of thing. But when he is well dignified with these masculine aspects, I mean, we are talking about the trifecta of masculine energy, of wise masculine energy, right? So this isn't the aggressive, young, ambitious energy of Mars, and it's not this kind of cunning philosopher kind of energy of the masculine Mercury. This is more of like a slow, wise, soft masculine energy, right? This is a really like patient type of older archetype, and this is coming through the entire week. And so this is kind of setting a stage for healing, right? Because there is healing in Saturn, there is healing in death, there is healing in the end, in the tomb, right? And when we see Jupiter, he's responsible for growth and expansion, and this Jupiter and Saturn are considered opposite forces often. However, when they are in harmony with each other, we are seeing a great esoteric secret, the fertility that comes from death, that comes from the end, right? And this is something that the Romans associated with Saturn. See, Saturn was in charge of agriculture with the Romans. He was what got them through the winter. He was the grains in the storehouse. And so they had a deep respect for Saturn. That is why the Grim Reaper is depicted with the scythe, right? Because he is reaping the harvest, and the harvest is what gets you through the winter. And so this is kind of the aspect that we're seeing in this trine between Jupiter and Saturn that is happening throughout the rest of the week. And then we have the solar energy, which is the riches, the wealth of the kingdom, the total integration of the masculine conscious awareness that is happening. So I'm really happy that this trine is working together. This is going to be our energy for the rest of the week. We're going to hit a little bit of a hiccup around Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, as the moon starts entering some bad aspects with the moon and Saturn. It's going to start squaring those. But that's just talking about inner kind of turmoil, emotional turmoil. But it's not going to be as dramatic as it was last week or the week before that. It's just going to be something that we're going to be aware of. Now, I think the best election that's going to happen this week is probably going to happen tomorrow night. So the moon is entering into Leo, and the mansions that are in Leo, that is, when you bring the sun and the moon together, Leo is the sun.
Yes.
This is really good. This is an integration of the self. And the mansions that Leo is associated with, the moon is entering, these are going to be healing mansions. This is going to talk about healing inward, outward, whatever it is. So Mercury, when he is healing, he's talking about a doctor, right? When the sun is healing, we're talking about a slower kind of purification, a cleaning that is happening. Mm-hmm. And so the moon, I think Monday night, if you're going to work with the moon, that's probably the best selection that I've seen all week. We're going for like a soft, slow healing, like a miracle worker, a patient, wise miracle worker kind of healing, right?
You're saying a compassionate approach.
A very compassionate approach, right? And I think that's the theme this week, and especially coming through everything that we came through these past few weeks, and we're still in the grips of Scorpio season, right? This is initiation season. So this is like a really good opportunity. We're seeing this play out. Like we went through a lot of tension, we went through a lot of inner turmoil, and then it's coming to this week here, and this is a time for a slow, purifying, compassionate healing that's happening. So
in Leo,
yes, while the moon is in Leo and while this trine is being exacerbated.
Figures. Makes sense.
Yes. So
Wow.
That is our magical week ahead. I think we're going to kind of focus on that.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. That's so crazy. Yeah, because everything the last time was so on point, and that this is like leading back into it too. That's crazy. So interesting how that works. But you say retrograde does not actually affect as bad as people think. Like
I think that retrograde only has as much power as you give to it.
I think so.
Yes.
I've always thought that because I have so many people I know that will say, "Oh no, Mercury's in retrograde," right? Like I'm sure everyone knows those people that just like always blame it on that,
yes.
right?
Yeah.
And I'm just like, oh, until I notice it, it doesn't. Until I like think about that, then I don't feel like it's like a RAS, right?
Yeah, I think it mostly has to do retrograde. You just want to be aware of a planet in retrograde if you are working with its energies, right?
Right.
And so the reason that we use planets in these services is because planets are the piano of magic, right? So if you are a music teacher and you have a bunch of music students, right, and they've never played instruments before, and you got to teach them how to read music, you're going to teach them on a piano. And if those music students understand how to read music on a piano, one of them can go play death metal, another can go be a rapper, and the other person can be a classical violinist. It is a translatable skill. And so no matter what, like if you're a witch, if you're a Norse pagan, if you are a Greek pagan, if you are a Hermetic magician, the planets are representing god forms, archetypes, deities that you can find within every pantheon, even in the East if you're doing the Eastern practices. And so, so there are these archetypal cosmic forces. And so as we're talking about these planets, how does that apply to your practice, right? And so if I say, if Mercury is in retrograde, well, what deity are you working with? What alchemical symbol are you working with? That energy is in retrograde. We're going to be sensitive to it because that energy is going to be stressed out during this time.
Mm-hmm. That makes so much sense right now.
Yes.
You know what I mean? It's crazy.
You have a harder time with the full moon, Heather.
Mm-hmm.
Me too. I am very sensitive to the lunar cycles. I get
manic.
I get really manic. I'm like tied to the lunar cycles.
For reals.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh man.
Okay, so we're gonna do a reading from On the Mysteries of the Cathedrals, which is a book of alchemy from, I think, the early 20th century. Fulcanelli is considered the world's last great alchemist, spiritual alchemist. He's a legendary figure. We don't know if he actually existed or not. It could have been a promotional ploy of the person that actually wrote the book. We don't know. But there's a lot of alchemical wisdom in there. It's a book about, if you look in all the cathedrals in Europe, the medieval Gothic cathedrals, you find the Hermetic tradition hidden within the artwork, within the sculptures, and within the architecture itself. This is what this book is about. So we're going to do a reading from this because I felt this reading was really important in relation to what we're dealing with this week. So, alchemists refer to this operation when they talk about reanimating the corporifications, that is, bringing dead metals to life. It is the entrance to the closed palace of the king of Philothes, the first gate of Ripley and Basil Valentine, that you must know how to open. The old man is none other than our Mercury, a secret agent whose several bas reliefs have revealed to us the nature, mode of action, materials, and preparation time. As for the palace, it represents the bright gold, the philosophical gold, vile gold, despised by the ignorant and hidden under rags that veil it from the eyes, although it is very precious to those who know its value. We must see in this motif a variation of the allegory of the green and red lions, the solvent and the body to be dissolved. Indeed, the old man, whom the texts identify with Saturn, who is said devoured his children, was once painted green, while the interior of the palace showed a purple coloring. We will say later on which source we can refer to in order to restore, thanks to the original color, the meaning of all these figures. It should also be noted that the hieroglyph of Saturn, considered as a solvent, is very old. On a sarcophagus in the Louvre, having contained the hierogrammatic priest of Thebes, named Porus, one can observe on the left side of the god's shoe, supporting the side, with the help of the god Knophis, the soul of the world, while at their feet is the god Saturn, lying, whose flesh is green. So that was an excerpt from On the Mysteries by Fulcanelli. And so that's a lot of symbology. Alchemy is very confusing, but we're going to break it down a little bit right now. The first thing that we're going to notice is he's talking about the first gate of Ripley, and Ripley is another alchemist earlier. I think he said 16th century. Ripley is famous for the 12 gates of alchemy, and they're a process that you go through. But he's talking about the first gate, and Ripley advises the alchemists to work kind with kind in the first gate. And the first gate is calcification, right? This is the very first step of alchemy. So he is advising the alchemist to work kind with kind and only with intent. So you're not supposed to be forcing anything. You're not supposed to be haphazardly pulling stuff in order to perform this first operation of alchemy. It's with intent, you're working kind with kind. So he's talking about the predisposition of our soul during this first stage, right? How to bring the dead metals to life, how to bring the dead to life. He's talking about the willing and intent to identify with the old man as the solvent. And so the old man in here is called Mercury, but he's also called Saturn. And so across the world, Saturn is always identified with an old man. He's identified as an old man in Arabia, in India, in Rome, all across the planet, in the Germanic tribes. So it's identifying him also with Mercury, which is kind of strange because Mercury is normally identified with a kind of wise, young, ambitious philosopher, or sometimes a thief when he's ill-dignified, right? So in alchemy, when it's talking about the Mercury, it's talking about the solvent and not necessarily the planet. So Mercury is the volatile solvent. It is the acid that you dissolve stuff in. So what Fulcanelli is saying here is that the identification with Saturn is that which dissolves the rot, the decay in the initiate. Mercury is what is dissolving, and what is being dissolved is Saturn. He of death and time and limits. And so we're going to see in this passage also, there's a lot of talk about green, and green in this context is especially relevant because he brings up Egypt. And so the Egyptians, they painted green on Osiris. Osiris is depicted with a green face, right? Osiris is the god of the underworld, but he was the original king of Egypt, the first king that brought agriculture and civilization in legend to Egypt. And Seth was jealous, dismembered him, and Osiris became the god of the underworld. So we see the body is black. The identification of Osiris, that his body is black, he is a corpse, but his face is painted green. And what we normally associate green with is fertility, springtime, right? We associate it with Venus, sometimes we associate it with Mercury, right?
Love.
So what this is really talking about is the face right here. The face of Osiris, which is his personality, his ID, his identification. What are we identifying with? His body is dead. His body is a corpse. So everything is dissolving. But Osiris himself is identified with rebirth, with growth, with fertility. And so this is what we're doing. This is how we are predisposing our soul to this process. We are willing and intentionally engaging in Saturn. We are wearing his sigil on our bodies. We're becoming death, but we are identifying with rebirth, with growth, with life. And that is the green in this context. So it also talks about the green lion and the red lion.
Oh, I was going to say,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, so the red lion is a symbol of Mercury. It's the volatile solvent, and the green lion is the more acidic solvent that is happening. And so we are seeing a triumph of spirit, which is the red lion, fused with the intent and inclination of the soul for the willing acceptance and predisposition towards Saturn, towards death, towards time, towards decay. And this is the closed palace of the king that it's talking about in the very beginning of the passage. It's the entrance into the tomb and the first gate. This process should feel like catharsis. It should feel like healing. And it should inspire fertilization. It should inspire growth. It should inspire rebirth. So the reference to the sarcophagus of the priest of Thebes. Now this is incredibly important. So Thebes in ancient Egypt was famous for its sleep temple. There was a famous priest, Imhotep, that was in charge of the sleep temple, right? And so the sleep temple at Thebes was basically a temple of hypnotism, where the priest would put people into a state of deep trance and use that to heal these people. And so there's an association here with sleep and death. So we're going to read a quote from a Tibetan Buddhist, Tenzin Wangyal Rinpoche. If we cannot remain present during sleep, if we lose ourselves every night, what chance do we have to be aware when death comes? If we enter our dreams and interact with the mind's images as if they are real, we should not expect to be free in the state after death. Now we're going to move on to Valentin Tomberg, talking about the death card, the 13th card in the major arcana of the tarot. Now, forgetting is the means of transition from one state of consciousness to another, even in the case of sleep, which can be considered as a natural ecstasy. One has to forget the world of the day in order to be able to pass into the world of the night. In order to fall asleep, one has to be able to forget. And awakening is simultaneously an act of recall of the world of the day and an act of forgetting of the nocturnal world. Awakening would be incomplete, which it moreover often is, if one did not forget the experiences of the nocturnal world. And what of birth and death? And so we're seeing across these different traditions, Valentin Tomberg, he's a Russian Hermeticist. We're seeing a Tibetan Buddhist, and then we're seeing a French alchemist, and they're all talking about this relationship between sleep and death. And this is a reference to conscious awareness. So when we incline ourselves towards the acceptance of Saturn and enter the closed palace of the king, which is the tomb, we do so with intent. We let this process cleanse and rebirth us, and we maintain awareness through the process by marking ourselves with the sigil of Saturn. Our face becomes the green face on the sarcophagus, identifying with rebirth, with growth, and with fertility. This is the secret to the first gate of alchemy. So in this initiation season of Scorpio, in the grips of the middle of his sign, we need to recognize the process we are going through in our struggles and turmoils right now. We need to embrace and wear Saturn with full recognition and acceptance. We need to incline ourselves and our souls to the stillness and the silence of the tomb, and from that, maintain our awareness into a new awakening. For if we do not hold on to our inclination, if we do not consciously engage with the process in full acceptance, then we are doomed to forget. And when we forget, we have truly died. This is not a rebirth, then it is just death. But when we incline ourselves towards the first gate, working with intent, working with conscious awareness, maintaining our conscious awareness through this process, not with hard, forced hands, but awareness, we dissolve our body, and we are left with the philosophical gold, right? And so when it says that the ignorant discard this process, right? Mm-hmm. The ignorant are scared of what we are identifying with, what we are inclining ourselves to. They just view it as scary, as profane, as gross, as decay, right? But the philosopher, the alchemist, the initiate knows that this is valuable. You know, this is this dross, this dry, dead wood that we carry around with us. This is what we ignite in order to start the alchemical process. Mm-hmm. This is why it's valuable to philosophers, to initiates, to alchemists, right?
So is that then like the akin to people that just suppress the things and because they don't want to acknowledge the things that are less, desired in them, right? So they ignore, but then the people that know identify them and work through it.
Yes. Well, they use it as should be using it as ignition.
Yeah.
As ignition for the alchemical process, whereas the ignorant, I think it specifically says it's veiled with rags to the ignorant.
Right, like it's garbage. I don't have time for it.
Yeah,
right?
It's death. It's decay. It's garbage. Like I'm not gonna this is gross. This scares me, or I don't like it, or it's vile. There's no use to this.
Right.
But we are using it in our initiation season, in the season of Scorpio, and I think it's really important to recognize when we go back to our astrological forecasts what zodiac signs planets are in. Mm-hmm. Right? We have Cancer. Jupiter's in Cancer, Sun's in Scorpio, and Saturn is in Pisces. Now these are all, other than Scorpio, it is watery. It's very emotional, very moody, back and forth, that kind of stuff. These are all watery signs. These are soft signs. We have this really high, dignified, masculine planets aspecting each other in harmony in these soft, reflective signs, right? And this is really what is the purification process, the stillness of the tomb. And so this is the greatness of Saturn. Saturn is normally a scary planet to people. People usually avoid Saturn, right? But this is the beauty of Saturn. This is when Saturn is dignified. And it's in this process that we're going to be experiencing through the rest of this week. And I know some of you are going through personal turmoils. I know I've seen friends having to change jobs and housing situations, all within these past few weeks, right? So I know that there's a lot of people right now that are going through personal struggles, personal turmoil. And really, it is identifying with this process, identifying with the rebirth, the green face, and then letting the body decay.
So I also was thinking, as you were talking about the green, about how there's also the green lion that symbolizes the heart, right? So that would be like what? Like love, kind of coming from negativity or something like that. That's the rebirth, is being able to find, I don't know, because it reminded me of that class on Hermeticism I took a while back, and they were talking about the green lion and how it was representative of the heart and letting your heart kind of guide you through things, kind of vibe. So I was thinking about that too. Like, it could be like finding love in something that you initially find horrible.
Yeah, so I think the sacral heart chakra is specifically green, right? So in the East, they identify compassion with the color green. So that does check out. It makes sense. All right, guys. So we're going to move into our questions for
do you guys have any questions?
Dr. Anna
for
Stone.
this week coming up. No questions about somebody leaving their wife, though. Or none of that. But yeah. Although, I mean, I don't know. I saw some comments in here about how other people definitely were experiencing the same kind of stuff over the last week and a half. So you should read those if you haven't. See what they said, so you can respond.
Hecate took me to Saturn. It was terrifying. That was my experience with Isis. So my
I wasn't scared.
My quote unquote Hecate was Isis, and the first time I invoked her and started my initiation into her mysteries, she immediately thrust the sarcophagus in Saturn in front of me, and I was like, oh no. I was like, what have I done? But it was a very beautiful, powerful experience, and it was probably the most dramatic, and I consider that my true, real initiation. It was a very powerful experience, and ever since that experience, I've really come to love Saturn and really listen, approach him with humility and silence and stillness. He's a very powerful, wise energy and entity. I have a deep affinity towards him. I'm tearing up a little bit right now.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the question, Heather, about a missing loved one? Just know, I will tell you what I see. So, just FYI, oh yeah. Not yet. Okay. Okay.
All right, 6-9. Did you want a reading about the job, or? Heather says one of her best friends went missing. No sign, not a peeper sighting.
Right. Was that? What about the person she's talking to? What about that person? Like, so it looks like there's somebody, like another person involved, like with that situation. And a really rash decision. There's like some kind of, I don't know, looks like a person. Like they went with somebody somewhere. Like, there's two people here in this, and I got it before, like that popped out of the deck. Okay, like who are they dating? Because like I'm seeing, like, do you know, or is it a secret? Like, what's going on? She married? What's happening? There's like a person here that like gives a vibe off of having everything, like be able to take care of this. I like, come with me, I'll take care of you. You like run off. I don't even know. Yep. Oh gosh. Yeah, so okay, like you need to be checking in on that person. Like the person that they were having a relationship with. There's something like this, there's something going on here with another person, like somebody else, and there's a fighting. Yeah, there's fights, right? Yeah, so I see you got, because the cards that came out, I'm gonna tell you, is the Lovers, Knight of Swords, King of Wands, Five of Wands. So far, like, this is her. Okay, yeah, I know. That's what I'm trying. Yeah, they had a fight, definitely, for sure. They had a fight. August 9th. If you guys put out a missing persons report for her, you need to. Yeah, honey, I don't like why I said earlier, like I'm going to tell you what I see, right? As a heads up, it's not good. If you know what I mean. This doesn't look good. I'm very sorry to say that. I am like really, wow, like it's really strong. Like, I don't know. I don't think she's, I don't think that it's going to be good when you do locate her. I'm sorry to say, like, I'm seeing a fight and an injury occurring, and that person knows their person knows. So this person needs to be looked at. Like, oh my God. I don't think so. I'm not seeing that. I'm seeing that you need to be strong right now and like really like I feel like she got injured and that's like the last that I'm seeing of it. So I'm not seeing like what happened next. And I don't know why that is. But I don't feel like it's a good situation. And I feel like the people that know, like either it's like what I'm getting is like one of two things, with one being more likely than not the other. One would be injury and them trying to take care of it so that they don't get in trouble, right? And the other one is the injury was what it was and they ditched her and are covering tracks. So I'm so sorry to tell you that, but I'm saying that either way, it's really not a good situation. But the person that was involved in the fight before she left is definitely aware of what is going on, okay? So push for that if you can. I don't know how involved that you are with that, but oh my God, I'm so sorry. That is, woo. I'm like on fire, like my face is so hot right now. Yeah, well, yeah, you, let me see, I can't see, what does that say? I find her? Yeah, you got that. I'm telling you this because you need to be strong, prepare for what's about to happen. Like, so sorry. Yeah. Yeah.
You want to do a little a petition to soul really quick?
Yeah, can we?
Yeah.
Is that okay, Heather? Oh.
Are you okay if we do a petition for you and your friend, Heather?
Like illuminate the situation, right? Like
Yeah.
bring it out, bring it to light. Fuck. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Her name's Hannah. Right? It's Hannah. see. Make sure. It's Hannah Chacon. That's her name.
All right. For our fellow Magus, we're going to be petitioning Soul to cast light on the situation
With her friend Hannah Chacon.
for her friend. If you guys want to petition as well. O great Soul, we ask that you illuminate and that you cast light the situation with Heather Chacon,
No, Hannah.
Hannah Chacon, that you bring this to light, that you expose all darkness, all shadow, that we bring Hannah home. O Soul, please help. Thank you.
So it is.
Mote it be.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh, sorry, Heather. Jeez. Okay.
All right. I think we had our friend 6-9 is having some
Job thing.
job issues, employment issues.
It's like,
We'll do a reading for that. Heather, I'm so sorry to hear that. Hope everything turns out okay.
that sucks.
That's some heavy
I
stuff.
had a friend that was missing also for a while, back in the late 90s. Yeah. So I know how that feels. It sucks. Okay. So for 6-9, right? Is that what it is?
Yeah, 6 Zilla 9 Zilla.
Okay. For work, you think you're gonna lose your job? That was what it was. Like, it looks like your emotion, like there's emotions around it. So try to curb, like, try to be more, like, moderate in how you're letting your emotions get the better of you when it comes to anything. Okay, because I just got, okay, so there's, all right, well, interesting. So there's something like I don't know what happened at your work, but obviously there's stuff going on that you're not aware of, but you're going to find out about it, because it's not, maybe not a need to know right at this moment. But I feel like this looks like stress and then cortisol release. Like, you know what I mean? I feel like this looks like, I don't know, it'll be fine, and then you're going to crash because you're stressed out, right? Like, that's, I say, like, okay, you're stressing, you don't know what's going on. Nobody likes uncertainty, and nobody enjoys not knowing how their work situation is going, right? Especially over a period of time when you're not there, like on the weekend or something, and you have to wait. So probably stress is high. And then I got the Fool here next, so it's like, just have faith, like keep a positive mindset, honestly, about this. And then the Four of Swords, which is like resting afterwards. Like, so that this looks like something I do all the time, where I stress unnecessary, like I stress out, or I kind of, imagine every possible worst case scenario in my head. So my body responds by being super stressed and cortisol high. And then after everything like is not a thing, none of that stuff happens, then I'm like crashing from having been stressed out, right? So that's what your situation looks like here. Like, it looks like, best course of action, stay positive, and trust it. So the Fool tells me that the best, like, to trust it. Like, if you're not supposed to be there anymore, then trust it. You know what I mean? Like, either way, it's working out for you. Like, but sometimes it don't look that way. But it's not saying negative at all. It's positive. So, and then rest. Yeah, you gotta watch. Me too. I do the same. I have a bad mouth, and like I have a tendency to say shit that I later wish I had filtered. So, just mind your P's and Q's. That was a weird thing to say, but like that's what I just heard. So mind your P's and Q's. Right.
I had in January I got laid off, and it ended up being the best thing, one of the best things that's ever happened in my life. So it was
Yeah.
it was very, and it was a similar situation. I was very frustrated with my workplace, and I tend to have a very a loose mouth, basically.
Yeah. I mean,
The industry that I was in, people in my position are notorious for being
narcissistic, abusive
authoritarian.
people. Yeah.
Yeah. So I was kind of like leaned into the tough, like I guess you can compare my job title to a a drill sergeant or something.
Yeah.
Very much the kind of energy that people in my position have to embody.
Yep.
And so I got laid off because I frustrated my manager.
They sucked. Okay, but anyways.
But it ended up being
they sucked.
the best thing that ever happened to me. So,
Yeah.
Or
You know,
closest.
yeah,
You know, one of the best.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, it's happy. Today is the 9th of November, so
Mhm.
happy tears.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah, 2 years ago was our first date. Boom. So cool. I'm so happy about that. And like, you never know what's going to happen. So we actually, when you got laid off though, right? It seemed like, like, oh shit, now what?
Yeah, it was scary at first.
Right, because we had just gotten this house.
Yeah, we had just got this house. We were
And
going to move in a few weeks.
And I'm like moving
Yeah.
out of a town to a new town.
Yeah. And I
Because he was working.
because I was working here.
Yeah. And so I was like, I'll leave Glendale
Yeah.
and I'll come over here. So, you know, it was like a lot, but we still did it because we had faith, right?
Yeah,
Like we were like, dude, we're both competent, capable people.
Mhm.
You know, at the time I was literally teaching only part-time at Glendale College. Like I was barely, you know what I mean? And even me, I was pretending.
Mhm.
I got this, you know, because you have to have the mindset that everything's going to work out, right?
Yeah, trust in the process, and it
It did work out.
yeah, it did work out. As luckily, I'd been through enough enough stuff with my magic to know, to have it kind of ingrained with me, like don't stop, just keep
Yeah.
taking the next indicated step, instead of being like, okay, like we're not getting the house together and that kind of thing. It's
Right.
just like, you know what, this is for the best, something's going to happen, and it's
Right.
going to take care of itself, and it did.
It did.
definitely
Like the
yeah.
next week we moved in, I got the call that I got the job that I have now, which is insane.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, so, but we like just had faith because we know that it's going to work out.
Well, we were doing magic. Magic was involved in the situation.
It
too,
was
so
involved in the
was
situation.
Something you got to trust in the magic.
Did I do magic for the job? I did not. Did I? Just
I
the
don't
house,
think
right?
Well, I didn't. Yeah, I did magic with Jupiter specifically, and
Yeah.
then it was I did a big petition to Jupiter, and it was a big Jupiter ritual, and then within the next month, like I think within a few weeks, I got laid off, and then a few weeks after that, a life-changing situation popped up that made it okay. That was like, no, I was supposed to get laid off, you know?
Yeah, I mean, it's, you know, life has been like fantastic, you know, but like normally you look at that situation and go, oh shit, now like, you know, I just got laid off.
Mhm.
That's nobody likes that. Like that's not fun.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, it's like, okay, but you know what's good does it do to just dwell on like the negatives, because in the past, like, right, you've survived 100% of the worst days already. So you got it. So just like have faith that it's going to work out for you in the best way possible. Because if you don't think that way, what does happen is it doesn't work out for you in the best way possible, because you negatively impact, you know, all the energy around you, right? And what opportunities can come. So
Yeah, I think it was somebody on this live stream one of the weeks compared the process to grasping at sand. You know, the harder you grasp, the
more you lose it.
The more you lose it. And that's definitely like when you're going through these situations, you want to be very careful that you're not grasping and trying to like maintain the status quo. And so there's homeostasis is probably like the most powerful process on human behavior. We want to maintain the status quo, even if the status quo is horrible for us, right? We're so scared of change, and we desperately grasp not to let the status quo change. We want to maintain homeostasis, and that's why we get stuck in behavioral cycles and bad relationships and toxic workplaces,
Right.
because even though we know we need change, our subconscious is telling us like, no, like maintain the status quo, you know?
Yeah.
maintain it.
This is like the people that go 9 to 5 and like are totally fine with it, right? You know, like that's the status quo to me. I just like just having the same thing every day. That's because that breeds stagnation, right? Like you're not actually doing anything anymore. You're just going through the motions. So always be, and everybody has to work 9 to 5 because that's the schedules, right? But like on top of that, you got to have other things going on, and that should not be defining, right? Also, the definition of work is a problem also, right? People identify with their jobs.
Yeah.
So
That's
it's
not
hard.
who you are.
Right.
What you do is not who you are.
Right.
Yeah.
And that really needs to be more talked about because people really do feel like that, you know. Well, yeah, I think for 6-9, like you got to do what you really are good at and enjoy doing, right? And sometimes we don't know what that is until it's presented to us. Like what I'm doing now, even though it's still in education and at the college level,